just says, I'm gonna grow when I want to, I'm gonna take my time, and I love her. She's so cute. Hi everybody, I'm Michael. Today we're gonna be talking about the rare and beautiful Variegated Hoya Mac and how you can grow her in your home. So, you ready to dig in? Let's grow. This adorable Hoya goes by the botanical name Hoya macrophylla albo-marginata, and she's native to the Philippines and Malaysia. And before I go on, I just want to thank everyone who stops by to watch our videos. We really appreciate it. And the folks in the Philippines and in Indonesia and Asia proper, thank you for joining our channel. We're seeing lots of folks from all over the world coming over to visit. So we want to really thank you for doing so. So back to this beautiful climbing vine. She is adorable, very similar looking to the tricolor Hoya in my opinion, except for this really cool feature of her leaves. She has this really deep venation, and it almost has this undulating look. And we'll zoom in so you can see this up close. Very, very pretty, very, very distinct. It is she, not an it. She is a very slow grower. She does not want to grow fast. Now, compare that with the tricolor Hoya. That girl's a beast. And I've done many videos, we've done many videos with that, and you know, for those of you who have subscribed to our channel, can see that the tricolor Hoya has similar features to this plant. They can get these light creamy margins on the edge of these beautiful elliptical shaped leaves, but that one just grows by leaps and bounds. She, on the other hand, the albo, she just says, I'm gonna grow when I want to, I'm gonna take my time, and I love her. She's so cute. Really cool conversation piece. And I know I say that about some of our other plants, like the network plant, some of the others, but this one's similar in the network plant, the calathea, and that you can see how she's showing you how she's growing. She's showing like these compartmentalized areas of her veins and where, you know, where all that activity, that miracle of photosynthesis occurs. So cool. Really, really cool. This plant she can get some pink to her margins. Let me talk a little bit about just the leaf color. She's gonna have like this nice dark green center, and she'll get these light edges, these light creamy white to white edges, but at times she'll get pink if you get her a little bit more sunlight. We'll go into plant care in a minute so you can see that. But she'll also have these real strong, bold areas of creamy margin. Such a cool plant. She is a climber. You can do like what we did here where she's growing up a pole, or you can use her in a basket and let her cascade down. These tendrils here will try to reach out and grab things and slowly wrap around them. And that's their nature, because this plant is an epiphyte and she wants to kind of climb in around other trees, palms in the forest where she's native. Such a pretty vine. Oh, another really wonderful feature of this Hoya is that she will produce for you this beautiful flower. She'll develop over time when she's ready, this peduncle, which is like this little stem that comes out, and then from that, she will erupt into this beautiful array of this cluster, this bouquet of star-shaped flowers. And they'll be white, mostly white on the inside, and some pink edges. So pretty. Our young lady here has not decided to flower yet, and that's okay. She's still growing. What is it, 2.5 years or longer we've had her, and she's only added, she's only added maybe a foot. So in that time, she is a slow grower. And when she's ready, she's gonna give us a flower, I'm sure. Your Variegated Hoya Mac will wanna grow to about 5 feet indoors. You can grow her upright like we're doing here, or have her in a hanging basket. And with that, I think I covered all the main characteristics of the plant. So what we're going to do now is rotate over into plant care. On plant care, your Variegated Hoya Mac will want high light, and that is between 500 and 1,000 foot candles. So you want her close to an east-facing window with an overhang, or a west-facing window with a very large overhang or some trees in the yard, because you don't want to have any hot, like 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock sun. It could burn the leaves, but you could get some sun like right before sunset, and this will help the plant encourage blooming. We don't have our young lady over here on our west-facing window because it's all crowded out with so many other plants. But I'm thinking of adding her over there and moving some others around so we can get her to encourage her to bloom, because we're moving right into summer, and I want to see if we can get her to produce that peduncle for us. And it'll also, one thing I mentioned also in the plant characteristics, if we get her a little bit more sun, these edges, these margins will start to turn pink, which would be kind of cool. She's got a little bit happening here. So for lighting, you want 500 to 1,000 foot candles. You can go lower, so just grow slower. Oh, it rhymed. Between 300 to 500 foot candles, she's still going to do fine. You don't want to have her in a really dark area, but these are really tough plants. That's one thing I want to mention in Hoyas. There is an Achilles heel, and I'll go to that in a minute on a pest, but these are really low maintenance plants if you know what you're doing. So on lighting, 500 to 1,000. On soil, and ours is a soil grown, and we have Hoyas that are both in our home here that are both grown in soil. Some are grown in soil and some are grown in leca, and a combination thereof. This plant here is grown in soil. So for soil grown plants, you want to have a chunky potting mix that's well drained. So we recommend this potting soil ratio. Use 70% potting mix, add to that 20% perlite, that gets you up to 90%, and then add in 5% worm castings, and you also want to add in 5% of orchid mix. Some of that with the bark and some of that with some charcoal if you can, to create a real chunky mix. It doesn't have to be super chunky, but you can also use lava rock or some leca in there to create some of that chunk to the potting mix, because this plant is an epiphyte, so it wants to have more of a loose soil and it wants to be well drained. So now we talked about soil, let's talk about watering. You want to water, if it's soil grown, every 9 to 10 days. And if your plant is still wet at that 9 or 10 day period, you can always check with a two knuckle rule. You can take your pinky down in there, down 2 inches or 2 knuckles, and if it comes back with moisture on your finger, or if the sand or the dirt just sort of breaks away, you can start watering, because each plant is different in a home. Sometimes you have them further in and they're not getting as much light, so they're not, or maybe they're not growing as much for whatever reason, or they're just doing their thing. So you don't want to, the main thing is you don't want to overwater this plant. That's the main takeaway. And for homes with air conditioning, this plant will do fine in humidity of 30 to 40%. It wants higher. You can put leca at the base of, or put a pebble tray under your plant to increase humidity if you wish. Our plant here has not had any requirements in that regard. She's doing fine. I think she's adorable. I can't stop saying it. I just keep catching these beautiful creamy edges. She's so pretty. So sorry, I keep digressing. Anyway, so we talked about the watering. Now let's talk about fertilizer. You can add a simple 20-20-20 from April through September, which is the kind of the growing season down here in South Florida and in most places, depending on where you live. In your summer months, that's when you want to add that. Another important thing on plant care is that the Hoyas in general are susceptible to mealybugs. You always have to be on the watch out for aphids, spider mites, but mealybugs really like the Hoyas. We fortunately have had no mealybugs on this plant, even though she shares a lot of similarities in our tricolor and their look, but in some regards. But mealybugs, they're tenacious. I know insects have their place in the world, but they really can attack the Hoyas. So we have some videos to that effect if you've had mealybugs. But what you can simply do is sometimes just take an alcohol on a Q-tip, Q-tip dipped in alcohol, and then just touch these little nodes, because they'll tend to start it here in the nodes, but they can proliferate pretty fast. And you also have to remember that the soil can also host those mealybugs, and that life cycle is pretty fast. So you have to be on top of this to keep it under control. You can use neem oil as well to keep them at bay. But that's the main pest that this Hoya and Hoyas in general I found are susceptible to is mealybugs. But again, our young lady, she's been great. She hasn't had a single mealybug infestation. Now what we're going to do is summarize all that I just spoke about on plant care and show you this all written out in depth so you can take a screenshot if you'd like, and then what we'll do is come back and do a quick summary at the end. All right, let's go on to that step. We want to thank you for joining us today. But if you have any thoughts or questions, just leave them in the comment section below and we'll make sure we get back to you. Until the next video, bye! If you found value in this video, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. We post weekly. Thanks!